Yeah, nice to see you as always. Thanks for your time. Just probably pick up where we left off Saturday night, really. I mean, you were very measured post-match with how you broke that down and said you'd asked the players for their thoughts. You'd given yours. You then said you wanted them to use maybe that travel time and Sunday just to come back at you a little bit more and sort of develop some of them themes. So could you give us a sense of some of the conclusions maybe from those discussions the last day or two?
Without giving everything away, because of course some of it leads into the game that we're going to play tomorrow night. But I think it was good for us, and it was actually already after the game I opened up for more thoughts from the players instead of just me talking. But I want to hear where we are as a team and as a group and what we can expect from each other and so on. And there's I think in general a good feeling that we are a good football team, and we know. All of us know our strengths, and all of us know how good we can perform when we are at our best. But we also have seen so far in this season that when we're not our best, we need to probably put something aside and invest a little bit more in maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes of a game, and just accept that that's the game picture for a part of it, and then earn our right to be able to play and find the way that we want to play again after that. And it's difficult because it's so much about finding balance, and it's 11 players in there that needs to be on the same page at the same time and needs to be completely aligned on what we do as a team. And when we go in between different things, that's where the tricky things can start to open up, or the things where not all players are on the same page or aligned. So we need to be very, very specific on what kind of areas, what kind of situation is it we deal with.
I mean, from what you're saying there, I mean, why do you think there was maybe that, not non-alignment, but maybe they just veered a little bit away from what you are asking them to do? Where does that sort of, not confusion, but where does that sort of sense that they're not quite on the same page as what you and the coach?
Yeah, but I think there's two things. I think first of all, we are still in a team and a squad in the making. So we are somewhere in the first or second phase of our development, and we cannot expect that we will be perfect at the time that we are in now. So we know that we can be very, very good, but we also know that there will be games where we're not perfect and not close enough to our standards. And then the second thing is that to accept that that's the fact, that's the reality, that's where we are as a team. So how do we deal with those moments? What do we actually do in those moments where we cannot find our rhythm, we cannot find our game? Because we have to make sure that we're still competitive. We have to make sure that if we cannot do 50 or 100 passes in a row, we can still compete in another area of the game. We can still compete in other ways. And that was probably for me to make it clear, when is it exactly we need to do that? Who's in charge of that? So who will take that decision on pitch? So we just hand out those specific areas of responsibility to make it clear for everyone. Because we are, again, the positive thing is that we have seen and we have shown to each other, and also the fans and everyone watching, what we can do. But we have also shown that there's still some way to go for us to be consistent.
So, I mean, again, from what you're saying now, what you said on Saturday, where does the measure stand right here, right now? Is it when you talked about, we need to be better in the one-on-one duels and maybe show a bit more desire, that feels like personnel. But then, as you've mapped out again today, it's maybe slightly the approach and the strategy in those moments, particularly when you go away from home.
Yeah.
So is it a little bit of both, or do you want it to tip slightly more towards the strategy rather than feeling you need to shuffle a lot of personnel around?
Yeah, it's everything. At the end of the day, I believe so much in the strategy that we have. And we keep on building on that. We keep on improving, we keep on developing. So hopefully, and it will take time, hopefully we can go away from home, and when we have those goal kick situations, we can work ourselves out of their pressure a couple of times, and then completely kill the momentum of the stadium, then completely kill the momentum of the opposition that want to press us. Because that's my opinion on how you should do it. But I also need to respect that I'm asking the players to do something that is, for a lot of them, completely new and a completely different way of playing. So I need to respect also that we are not there yet as a team and as a group where we can just expect that. So we need to have more variations, and we need to be specific in when is it in games that we open up for other variations in our game. So everything we do is still collective. So we need to be on the same page. We need to know, can we be more direct in some moments of the game? Do we need to defend a little bit lower in some moments of the game? Are there moments in the game where we need to accept that we cannot do too many passes and the game will be a little bit more back and forth, but we are prepared for it in the positions that we take on the pitch. So it's all of those moments, and we highlighted some specific situations yesterday, and we did it again in day 2 training. So hopefully there should not be too many questions, or there should not be too many doubts tomorrow evening in what we do and when we do it.
Is that then building in, and it's not going to come anytime, it's a process, I know, but is that now building in different elements in terms of what you do with the players day to day at Colney? Because you're obviously now, it's clear that there are elements of what you're trying to do away from home that at this stage of the evolution aren't quite there at the moment.
Yeah, it is because I think it will be ongoing, and it will still be useful for us to be able to do it in 2 years' time or 3 years' time. We still need to accept that there's plenty of other good teams in this league, and we cannot expect that we will always be the better side. So it's also building towards other variations and not a new way of playing, or it's not a new style of play, or it's not something like that at all. Because, like I said, when we are really, really good, we have to be, even more clear in what we do, and we have to do even more of our own stuff. But, when we're traveling that road, when we're on that journey, we need to accept that there will be moments where we need to open up for other variations, and we need to be not as straightforward, only this direction all the time. We can open up for other ways.
And does that underline you as a coach that you do have that pragmatism, that you're not wedded to, and that there's other coaches, I won't name them, around the game at the minute where they have their way of playing and they want to stick with that come what may, and they get criticised for that. But what you're clearly saying now, in terms of particularly the elements around, we need to be more direct in our approach at times, maybe go longer a little bit.
Yeah,
that's very different from we know the game model that you like to play.
Yeah, it is, but it still it still comes from a structure. It still comes from the complete same things that we work at. It comes from the same positions. It can just be other decisions. It can be, if you play teams that go very much man to man, then it can be to exploit that situation, maybe man for man on the last line instead, and see if we can open up for situations that are dangerous in that area of the game. It can be other variations as well. I think as a coach, you always need to be a little bit pragmatic, because we are here for the results, and we're here to make sure that we win as many games as possible. So, but of course, it is a fine balance, and it will always be, because we have some ambitions on behalf of this club and on behalf of this team and the squad and everyone working here, and we have some ambitions towards being a very, very clear football team, and a football team where no matter where you see us play, you can expect a certain way of playing, and you can expect certain characteristics from the players. That's where we have to go. But that road is maybe, let's say we started here, now we build towards this, but taking the next step is not as direct as I showed here. There can be, sometimes we need to go like this, and sometimes we need to take a step back to be able to develop again and to improve again. And that's something we need to be aware of on the whole journey. It will be the same in 1 year's time. It will be the same in 2 years' time. Then it will just probably be other topics or other areas of the game where we need to look at where are we as a team. Because I cannot, the least thing I should do as a coach is to expect more from the players that they can actually do. That would be wrong for me.
And as a coach as well, I mean, clearly that there's a focus on the players and what they maybe didn't execute as well as they needed to do on Saturday. But do you now reflect on maybe some of your team selections and feel maybe some of the calls didn't work on the day? I know that's hindsight, and that's a wonderful thing to have that you don't have prior to the game.
Yeah, and that's how it is. And also, let me be fair to the team. I think we come from 3 performances just prior to that was very, very good. So it's not like we are in a place where because of one game we lost that we have to change everything, and we have to look at all the dynamics and so on. I think as a team, and when I look at the group every morning and every day, we are in a good place, and they are really, really trying everything they can. So it's also for me to keep on showing that commitment to the team, and also show that confidence in the team, and because they are really, really trying, and I think they have showed some top moments in this season. So it's not about changing too much, but of course to find the rhythm and find the balance, and also look at the opposition. What will they bring to the game? What will be the best team selection for us in terms of what they bring? So we're not too vulnerable in some areas of the game. Could be set pieces as an example, where we also need to take that into consideration when we select the team, players that are strong in that area of the game. So we again are not too vulnerable.
I mean, you brought it up there. I was going to obviously come on to that. The set pieces are now becoming a thing, or certainly externally, that people are looking at. It feels like it's post Borough as well. I mean, is that just an anomaly? Or is it something you're trying to do differently and it's not quite working in terms of your set piece structure and what you're asking the players to do?
I think, to be fair to the players, they have been very, very, very solid defensively on set piece. Now we've had a couple of games in a row where we conceded, and that's probably also a little bit how it is in this league, where so many teams are very, very strong in that area of the game, and you know, some of the players that we select, it's maybe not their favorite game. So we have to accept that, and we have to work on, again, different solutions to how we handle it. I think first and foremost we have to look at that we don't concede too many. That's the first thing we can do. I think just looking at the QPR game, there's too many situations where we give away an easy throw in, which then leads to a corner kick or free kick situation. I think that's the first step. And then, of course, second, to see what we can do better, how we can improve. I think there's areas of the game where our man marking was not solid enough, we're not close enough to create the space for our zonal players that we need. But it's, again, like everything else in football, something we can work with. But it comes a little bit, very much together. So now we've conceded a couple of goals in a row from set pieces, and now we start talking about that. That's not how we work, because when I look back in some of the other games, we could also have conceded in those games and flipped to the other side. We could also have scored in some of those games. I remember just Sargent hitting the crossbar against Blackburn at home from a set-piece situation. But a couple of games after that, the story was that we were not scoring from those moments. But it's such a thin line. So again, also in that area of the game, for us not to be carried away, keep the way that we work, be consistent in our approach, and be very, very clear in our communication to the players.
And that sense of perspective, you'd want to reiterate that, because obviously you were asked directly about Nick Stanley, and it's an easy one because he's your set-piece / coach. But as you said, in response to that on Saturday night, it's unfair. It's a collective thing, isn't it? That's the approach. It's a collective coaching unit working on set pieces.
Everything we do is collective. The only guy you can blame, if you want to blame one, then it will always be me. But everything we do is collective. And everything we do, when we talk about set pieces, we do it together. We do it with the goalkeeper coach, with the assistant coaches, with everyone involved. We do it with the analysts. And they share ideas, and we look at all the situations to go through it so we can be as good as possible. When we train it out there, it's, of course, Nick leading that part of the game, but it's all the other coaches are involved. All the other coaches look at specific things in those moments. Can be man marking, can be blocking roles, can be zonal players, but all the coaches have responsibilities. So that's how we go through it. So and I think that's the only way, the way that I'm brought up, the only way that I look at football, to deal with moments like that. And it's the same in football. You also know me, it's so rare I sit down and talk about specific individuals and moments, because how I look at it is from a collective view, where there's so many things often you can do better when you concede a goal, not only the specific moment where they score, and the same when you score goals. It's not only the guy scoring the goal, there's so many things leading up to that, and that's how we look at it.
I'll ask you about one specific element of the sort of the structure, and you're right to point out, QPR came off the back of 3 very good performances and 7 points out of 9, so you need to sort of zoom out a little bit and not maybe get too hung up on the events of Saturday. But Kellen Fisher switched to the left-hand side. Do you feel you're getting maybe what you need defensively and maybe offensively? Just thinking the balance with Boha maybe.
Yeah. But to be fair, against QPR, it didn't work well for us. Against West Brom, a couple of weeks before, it did. It was very good. So again, sometimes it also comes down to the opposition. It comes down to how they press us, how their positions are, what kind of space that opens up. And of course also down to the individual, how great you perform on the day, because that's also a matter in football. And we cannot expect the player to be able to deliver a top performance every time he's on. So that's, again, it comes down to the positions that we decide. Maybe they were good enough, maybe they were not. That's definitely something we look at. And then, of course, what the individual bring into that position. That can be a difference sometimes it's not, and then we have to change the structure. But it is, of course, like everything else, something we look at when we're not satisfied with the output from a game with some specific situations.
Moving it on to tomorrow night, I mean, in many respects, they're a team who had a good win at home. They're also down the wrong end of the table from their point of view. So you can see how there will be a lot of the challenges that you face on Saturday will be the same again on Tuesday night.
Yeah, so I hope the time was well spent yesterday and today, because that I think we can expect some of the same. I think we can expect that it's a team where they will definitely look at the QPR game and see where they can hurt us and how they can create dangerous moments. So we try to prepare for that, so we are aware of that, and we try to make a game plan that is suited for that. Also accepting that is, you know, a Tuesday night away from home. It's another difficult one. It's another difficult task for the boys, but I think we are well prepared, and like I said, we had a good talk straight after the game Saturday. We had another one Sunday. We have had a good session, so hopefully we are prepared.
Yeah, well, we'll find out on Tuesday night. But I mean, do you get the sense, because I think nobody would question that the character in that group, and you know they are honest players, and yes, they are. Maybe there's a lot of younger lads and they're learning on the job, as it were. But you've got one or two experienced in there. But do you get that collective sense that they really are keen to maybe show the right face of what they're all about on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I think if we were about to play just straight after the QPR game, they were ready, because they were not satisfied with the performance, and it was an honest talk after that game, which is so important. And I highlighted again yesterday for the players, when we are having those team meetings and specific players are being questioned about something, it's not the person, it's the football player that we need to adjust in some moments, or we need to be honest about in some moments. And every player in that meeting can do that. We need to be able to do that. Otherwise, we cannot go forward. Otherwise, we can never improve if we cannot say directly to a teammate that you need to do better here, or I expect from you that you have to do this. That's the way that we work. And it takes a lot, because we have to create that environment where we really fully trust each other and we believe in each other. And I try to make it as clear as possible that I really, really believe in this group of players, because I think there's so many great players. I think there's such a big potential. But I can also see that from where we are as a group now, it takes time, and it's the biggest and hardest step for us to take, where we develop consistency, so we can week in, week out deliver more or less the same. And if we're not up to our standards, then we have a certain standard still, where we know this is the limit we have to bring to the game. This is the needed performance we need to bring to a game, and we can win games even though we're not perfect. And at the moment, I think we're still there, where that's the big step for us to take. But from what I see from the players and what I see from their performance out here every day, and also just the behavior within the group where they support each other, I can really not put any negative thoughts or comments to that.
Just a step back in terms of maybe one of the details tomorrow night. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, their first two goals of the day were very similar in terms of high aggressive pressing, turnovers in your defensive third. Safe to say, a lot of what we discussed today, you know, that was an issue for you, wasn't it? In terms of QPR tried the same tactic, and it was quite effective, wasn't it, on Saturday? So you'll need to be better in that facet of the game Tuesday night, definitely.
Yeah, that's my approach to everything as a coach. That if we don't succeed, we need to be better. We need to improve. We need to develop. We need to make sure that everyone knows exactly what to do in the right moment. Of course, we also need to open up for other variations. We need to be a team where we're not too easy to read. We're not too easy just to put under pressure in one area of the game, and then we cannot succeed in other areas of the game. So that is, of course, something we have talked about, how we can approach that part if we don't succeed, but also, of course, if we succeed. Because it is a part, like I said, where I think, in my opinion, the way I see football, the best way to kill the momentum of a stadium is to go in there, make a lot of passes, especially starting from goal kicks. If you succeed a couple of times building from goal kicks and kill their pressure, you kill the momentum of them, you kill the intensity of them, and most often you also kill the atmosphere in the stadium, which is something you need to consider when you go away from home. But of course, like I said, we need to accept that it's not always we can do that, and we have more variations.
Particularly that place. So I don't know if anybody's sort of giving you a bit of a crash course on Fratton Park, but it is one of them tight old English compact grounds, and when they get behind them, they do make quite a lot of noise. So you'll have to be particularly good in that aspect.
Yeah, exactly. Because on the other hand, then you can also use that as an advantage for you, because it's something they can feel as a home team. If the crowd is suddenly not supporting them, or they're not that loud as they normally are, then it actually turns into being something that is not in their favor. So it is something we can use. It is something we definitely talk about and prepare how we handle, and also how we handle those moments that will definitely come where the crowd is supporting and the crowd is loud, and there will be moments where we have to defend and just stick together and to solve the situations and deal with the situations. So it is a big factor. Yeah, definitely.
Final one, if I can, just squad wise, really, any sort of issues coming out of Saturday with those players?
No, not really. So actually, the only thing for us is the load management at the moment. So we make sure that players are ready for, of course, the situation we are in now with a midweek game and another one on Sunday, but especially also heading into the Christmas period where we need all players available.
Just final one on that load point. I mean, would it be a bit of a stretch for Nunes to start again so soon?
It's something we consider because we need to take care of him in the best possible way. And also Saturday we agreed on that around an hour for him would be the maximum. Again, just to go with low risk because we need him, and we need him for all the games coming up now, and not only for tomorrow, not only for Sunday, but all the games the rest of the season. So it could be a consideration for us. The same with some of the other players where they've been playing a lot of minutes, where it could be an idea for us with some fresh legs and new energy.
Thanks, Johannes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paddy.